Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the South Central Podcast. I am your host, Ron Austin, and on today's episode, we are joined by radio personality for 106.9, songwriter, producer, event host, none other than one of the greatest freestyles I see for the entire carnival season, ladies and gentlemen. The red man with the deadly waistline. Do not leave this red man alone with your girl after you hear him sing.
Wow.
After you hear the gyrations. The gyrations, you had to know. We are with none other than Hashim ThaDream. Hashim, thank you very much for being on the show.
Hey, man, Ron,
IG.
what's going on, man? Everybody, what's going on, South Central? It's your boy Hashim ThaDream, Virgin Islands. We in the building. Big up ourselves, man. Thanks for having me. What's going on, man?
Hi, good, my G. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Of course, man. This is actually my first. Is it my first podcast? Second podcast. If I'm being technical, it's my second podcast. So yeah, definitely happy to be here for sure.
Thank you. Glad to have you. So, all right. So, just for the audience to get on a little bit of backstory as to how we meet, it was Carnival Juve. It wasn't Juve. It was Monday evening of this year. We met on a big truck in town. Now, I was giving you a little bit of preview for this story back before we start recording, but through my eyes, now it has always been one of my dream to be on a big truck in town.
Right.
I am on the truck, chilling, having a good time, music blasting. Now, through my peripheral vision, I see you sitting down and the bottom back under that truck and had a mic in your hand.
Right.
Now, I know the song. If your name end with a A,
Ben right.
over.
Yeah.
Now, when that instrumental drop and on the streets of Port of Spain, my brother, I see you pick up that mic and freestyle that verse and mash up the streets of Port of Spain, my G.
Lord.
Immediately. And then I hear you talk about, you know, me from the shoulder and you see the clip that we released.
Yeah.
I was like, we have to have you on the show. Thank you very much for coming.
Of course, man. Of course. It's a pleasure, man, for sure.
Thank you,
I'm always a big fan of just creatives and a lot more Caribbean people are getting involved in podcasting. So any chance I get, I definitely want to come through and support for sure.
Yeah, we're looking to be the biggest podcast in the Caribbean, bringing all the guests like yourself, new upcoming artists. You feel me?
Of course, man.
All right, so maybe you need a lyric video or kinetic text animation with graphics for your next billboard or project.
Maybe you need a creative visualizer for your song, production, or ad.
Maybe you need a video commercial where you talk about yourself and your business.
Or maybe you need one of those AI-assisted style edits that are all the rage on TikTok.
Whatever you need, we can get it done.
Break new ground for your business with Impact Creative Agency.
So let me ask you, just for the audience who now tuning in, who know any name, who hear the freestyle, who was like, hey, I see this man on the road. I see him performing because you've been touching down in a lot of events from what I've seen, sharing the stage with some of the biggest names in the industry.
Yeah. Well, look, I've been putting in work for a long time. I've been in this game, almost 15 years, I think. So yeah, I've been making music at least that long. But to say, I guess let me say professionally, I've been in like the music business and particularly down in Trinidad for a little over 10 years. And it's always been my dream to come down here and make a name for myself, particularly in the realm of soca. Soca and calypso have always been my favorite genres growing up. Even biggest stars in the world I find don't compare to our Caribbean people, and we just have a different energy, a different vibe. Whatever genre we put our minds to, soca, calypso, reggae, dancehall, compa, zouk, everything we touch, it's just golden. And all my biggest inspirations were always for me. I grew up in a calypso house, from a very young age. The first song I ever fell in love with was High Mass from David Rudder. So David Rudder has always been my favorite calypsonian, and that song in particular, has always had a special connection to me. That was the first song I ever sang on stage. I was about 13 at the time. Absolutely terrified because my mother and my principal forced me to do it for a school function. And when I just went up on that stage, something just clicked. and there were like politicians and stuff in the audience at the time. This was back home where I'm from in the Virgin Islands, you know, and literal politicians. I remember one of the he's no longer with us, but I remember he was dozing off in the function, and I remember I hopped off that stage and he was like, who is this? You know, it was, yeah. And I didn't know it at the time. Yeah, I didn't know it at the time, but that was like, what would eventually be, you know, the awakening and my calling into this business, you know?
So at that moment, it clicked that this is what I want to do.
It didn't click in the moment. No, it took some time, but looking back, that was definitely one of the big catalysts for sure that really led me down this path, you know?
So your boy being the best handyman he can be at home, right? When all of a sudden, your boy was hungry, but I had an idea. I jumped in my car and head to Shogunas. Why? Because boom, Wendy's open up a branch in Shogunas and take in the design now, boy. It's containers, so it's sleek and innovative, and you're still getting the same great food and service and all the best sandwiches you love, like the pretzel bacon.
Thank you.
Yeah. So your boy placed the order, and in 2 2s, he was by the window collecting his food. If you see the long line of cars, but they're moving real fast.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, later. Yeah, dinner.
That was dinner. Meanwhile, customer service on point. Your boy was so happy I had to do my little happy dance with my Wendy's. Take me in, yeah. So I reached back home and I couldn't even talk. Trust me, the food was bomb. When I get a chance, check out that Wendy's in Shogunas, love.
And when did you decide, well, okay, I need to come to the Mecca, I need to come to where this thing start from? What make you decide to come across into Trinidad to start to perform? Because you say you did come across from what country again? Is it?
Virgin Islands,
Right.
Tortola to be specific, you know. Shout out to all my Virgin Islands, massive 284, we represent every day. So I have a very diverse background. So even though I'm born and raised in the Virgin Islands, my father is actually from the island of Nevis, St. Kitts and Nevis, and my mother is Trinidadian.
Right.
So again, that explains a lot of my calypso and soca backgrounds. You know, that's just the type of music that they loved. And have a huge family on my mother's side here in Trinidad. So I've been coming to Trinidad ever since I was. Before I got out of Pampers, I was coming to Trinidad. So Trinidad was always a second home to me, but the music itself always connected with me. And even though when I first started, I didn't initially start singing soca. I started rapping because where I was from, hip hop was more of a culture for us, you know, more so than calypso. You know, we had our own our brand and our own version, but we were definitely a lot more reggae driven, hip hop driven, you know. So that's what I initially started with, and then one day I just decided to dip my hand into a soca. I don't know where. I hope nobody goes and finds it. It's very hard to find, but I don't do no digging. I did a song I was like 18 at the time, called Ready to Jam. And my mother had sent it down here, and my aunt said he should come down here and perform the song for Carnival. And immediately my eyes lit up, because growing up, I always used to see my mother go home every year for Carnival, you know, and she would always come back with a caseload of CDs and albums from Bungie Garland, Marshall, Destra, David Rudder, Sherwin Winchester. So it was always my dream to come to Carnival. So as soon as that out, and I was in a community college at the time, I was like, oh yeah, we taking a semester off and we doing this, you know. And so I did. That's exactly what I did. And I came down here. My aunt, in essence, became my manager, and I really got my feet wet. She because of, you know, the many people that she knew in the business, she was able to put me on several different shows and several big highlighting shows, like big fetes like Battle of the Sexes. I performed in Club Zen, which was still popping at the time.
How old are you during all of this?
I was 18, an 18-year-old kid at the time. Yeah, and, you know, and to come from, you know, people like to think Trinidad is a small place. Which camera I could watch and say, y'all, Trinidad is a lot bigger than y'all think it is. Y'all have so much influence that y'all really do take for granted sometimes. Y'all have to understand. They call this place the Mecca for a reason.
Facts.
You know? And you really need to put a lot more respect and clout on that. So to be here at the age of 18, having an opportunity like that to perform in these huge places, in front of thousands of people, up to that point, I probably performed for, you know, crowds of maybe about 100, maybe 1,000, but especially that Battle of the Sexes where it was 10,000 plus. It was different, and I had to open that fete.
You had to
and
open.
yeah, because when you're unknown like that, that's the slot they're gonna give you. But to go up there and I just leave it all on the stage. The stage is a different realm for me. I just feel so at home, and it's been that way for a very long time. And so to be able to do that, and particularly when I know that there are artists that I admired so much from growing up backstage watching me and watching what I can do, and then giving me those words of encouragement, and seeing like, oh wow, who is this kid? I need to get to know him a little bit better. So to be able to be a part of an industry like that where your heroes are become like colleagues is a I don't know, I can't really put it into words, and it's become more surreal over the years, as I've gotten older, as I've matured, and they've watched me grow and I've watched myself grow. There's always something new to learn in the business, and I've just done my best to be as humble and grateful for the opportunity as I can.
So you would have crossed paths with, again, when your mom bringing out these CDs of like Patrice Roberts, Marsha Montana. You perform it, you share the same stage with who would have been the idol to introduce, like David Rudder.
Yeah.
That's like one of your favorite songs. I know you sharing a stage with him. What it was like meeting him for the first time on that stage?
Man, I mean, David is an icon, and it certainly was not the first time that I had ever met him. I met him many times over the years. He actually knows some members of my family personally. So when I remember when I first met him as a little boy, I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And even seeing him, as a man, I just treat him with the utmost respect at all times. But to actually be on that show last year when Carnival returned, the show was called Queens of Soca, right? And it was 2 shows, one in South and then one in town at Sapa and Napa, and I hosted and performed in the show. So for like weeks on end, there were commercials with my name on it, saying that I'm gonna be there, and of course featuring all these amazing female soca artists, and of course David Rudder was on the show that day. But to actually get to introduce him to a crowd, I'm never gonna forget that moment. It's etched in my brain. And backstage, I'm just jamming like a fan in the audience.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I am an artist, yes, but I think I'm a fan first. Before I'm an artist, because all of these people I hold in high regard and respect, and so to be able to work alongside them is definitely a privilege and an honor for me personally. They may have been in the business very long, and they see it as definitely something that they love, and that genuineness may not seem as much over time. I remember an artist told me that one time, that they said at some point this is all gonna seem trivial to you, but in all honesty, no, I really don't take any moment that I get for granted. Maybe I've not reached that point in the career as yet where it all seems like it's distant memories, but I remember all my interactions.
I don't think it would ever die, because I would still see, like, I would perform stand-up comedy and feel somewhat the same way, like when you say you leave it all on stage.
Yeah.
That's what it is. When you grab that mic, it's just you and the audience, and exactly what it is you formulate in your head that you want to perform to these people to entertain them, and just wait to lay it all out there.
Basically.
So like when I meet like Rachel Price and these people who I went to school listening to on the radio and laughing on a morning, to like see her talk to me or even call my name and like, hey Ron, and I was like, Rachel,
yeah.
just call my name.
I never.
You can't forget them moments.
Listen. When I first heard my name come out of one of them mouths, I was just like, I was backstage at a Soca Monarch, and all I heard was Hashim ThaDream. It was a low, deep voice, Hashim ThaDream, and I looked back, as Bungie Garland calling my
What?
name. I was like, DJ.
I'm not going no
like, how
spot,
you-
but let me
yeah. I was like, yeah. Boy, and he was just like, how you going, boy? And he just dapped me up like an equal, bro. Like, you don't forget moments like that, dog. So when people like that start to call you on a first name basis, it's like, come on. You can't help but feel like, you know, you're doing something right.
True.
You know? And every time I get an interaction like that, it's amazing, man. It's amazing.
Alright, so you come down here and you started performing at like 18. You're performing in some of the big spots like Zen and some of the big clubs and some of the big fetes. Where some of the more like pivotal points where you could say, well, okay, are you it etched into your memory where your career might have stepped up to the next level and also as you're progressing along your journey?
I came back down because at that point I hadn't moved to Trinidad, but I think the pivotal point was when I actually decided to set up shop here on a more permanent basis, which was late 2012 going into the 2013 season. That was a really serious year. That was the year Bungie had differentology and Soca was just in the middle of a whole new wave and dynamic. And at that time I had just dropped my first project under the brand Soca With A Twist, right? Which I know you wanted to get into, but yeah, the acronym was SWAT.
Right.
So I had a song at the time pushing called Jumpin'. It was a real poppy soca kind of thing.
That coming on to the ending of the album.
This was like 10 years ago, bro. That song isn't even on the album. You have to go and I wouldn't even know where to tell you to go to find that tune right now. Probably on my YouTube channel. If you dig really deep, you'll see my very first music video was called Jumpin', and I shot that here in Trinidad. And I think that was really the pivotal turning point because I ended up doing a lot of television interviews, and the music video would play across the country on a regular basis, and people started to recognize me from that. You know, I see you on Synergy. You know, so
yeah, then times cross you on Synergy. That's a big thing.
Yeah, it was a big deal apparently. And every time I go out, it's like, hey, you the man with the video. You know, so that was really. So when I started to really that's when I realized that I have to take my craft extremely seriously, if I want to be taken seriously. I invest a lot of time, resources, and energy into my craft to make sure that it is always up to a certain standard for people to recognize. And every year I refine it a little bit more, and when I can see that refinement improvement, that's when I can see I know that I'm growing. Because in the space of that very first year, when I came out the second time, and I ended up getting into Soca Monarch semifinals for the first time. And that was a huge moment for me because knowing about the Soca Monarch and what it meant and how, and the type of people that it established in Soca over the years, I was like, yeah, this is a huge moment, And at the time, Soca was like $2 million prize. At the time.
That time you
so,
staying up till 12 o'clock to see Marshall and them perform Soca. Even if you wasn't in Soca Monarch, you was home
you
watching
staying
it.
up, yeah.
Soca Monarch was pumping.
Right.
Marshall flying through the crowd.
You're telling me.
You would have been here 2015 when Cash Drop Fallen.
Yeah.
One of the greatest years of
Oh,
Soca.
yeah, for sure. I was, like I said, even backtracking to 18, when Kes first blew up with What Less, I was here to watch that. I was there to witness that.
Right now, I just hit
Yeah,
me now.
listen.
Don't make. What's that?
Listen.
Somebody hit me now. What's that?
I feel, when I first heard that phrase, and I feel like I just win a million, and everybody just saying I just win a million. I was like, this song is bad.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Because of this, what she got on them? Whoa, watch now.
Listen.
It speak to my soul and
Yeah.
my soul and
Fallen was definitely one of those soccas that really, every time it comes on, I feel a different energy.
Yeah, boy.
There's a song that comes around once every couple of years in any genre that just makes you feel something. Fallen is definitely one of those.
Definitely.
For sure.
You mentioned showing Dead or Alive would be one of them. Ooh, big tune, big.
Listen, to this day, I find people still real underrate Showing. It's been a long time, but that man is That man is a legend, bro.
Sure, when it's
Ain't
the first
nobody.
bandana bender we have.
You understand?
Sure.
Listen.
Watch that, man. Sure. What's that? Sure. When it's the-
I hope y'all can do some little effects when we do that. What?
Yeah.
Listen.
Sure, it is the bandana bender, Jerry.
Right? And nobody could catch it, and everybody, whenever anybody fling it, it's just gone. He know how to keep it there, and
Bring it back on.
you can't teach that, dog. You can't teach that. So yeah, you know. I remember too much, you know, and I remember every pivotal moment. But that's Soca, man. That first time, yeah, being in the semifinals that first time was definitely a shift, you know. It was like I'm doing something right, and I'm meant to be here.
And
I
that's
have
a
to keep pushing.
big crowd. That's so come
Oh
on.
yeah, that was
just
huge.
when you're watching that kind of the words you sing and you write and put pen to paper, moving the entire audience. You say go left,
And it's hard.
go right.
And it's hard because you don't, like, you are still basically an unknown. People don't know who you are. But when they and that's what I think I've really developed a lot over time. I may not be as well known, but anytime I touch a stage, I move like a professional and I have that energy to give. And that's what people feed off of. Even if they don't know your song, if you come with the confidence and you come with the presence and energy, that's how you reel people in. And that's how you get people to know you, right? And even if they, you know, don't know your name, they're still vibing
They
to
can
they're
sense
still
the
vibing to
energy
you.
and the confidence you're coming with.
And so to do that on their semis was up in the velodrome at the time, you know, so the velodrome is a huge, I think 20,000 at the time holding, and you smack dab in the middle of semifinalists. Oh God, it's crazy. It's
And
crazy.
the audience has sense if you're nervous immediately.
Of course, and you just have to get out there and you know, give it your all.
Now
Treat it
I
it's
like
the
how
final
you
night.
I like how you just really you just give everything on the stage there. I was almost so girl when I jump on the stage when you started getting on the stage.
You gotta treat it like that. Whether it's 100 people or 100,000, you gotta act like you're performing for a Grammy each and every time. You know, and that's how I treat my craft. That's how I treat anytime I get on a stage. It's yeah, it might be a bread and butter, but it's also a privilege and a blessing because, you know, a lot of people have this dream. Not everybody is going to get to make it. So whenever you get that opportunity, you have to make the most of it as best you can, because there's someone out there who's better than you and more deserving. I'm not the best performer out there. I'm good. I'm damn good, you know, but I'm sure there's someone out there better than me, but I got to work twice as hard to make sure that I earned and show people that I earned this spot and I deserve to be here.
The grind will ever be easy to you had to put in 120% each and every single time into that performance.
Of course, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. It's not about the clout, and it's not about the fame. Those are just the perks that come along with it. That's based on this job that we have. You know, if being a doctor was you know, being a celebrity, I'm sure people want to do that a lot more as well.
But chasing the crowd do ever come, it will bring that satisfaction because
It's temporary. It's temporary satisfaction. But I want longevity. I want
to be remembered for something.
exactly.
Okay, so that kind of lead into what I've realized when I was listening to Soca With A Twist. Because I heard like a lot of the big names like Marshall and them talking about we don't want just Soca to exist during Carnival season.
Right.
We wanted Soca to play the whole year round.
Right.
And when I was listening to Soca With A Twist, because you say your first project going to be in 2012 at the piece of it. So that's like 10 years because I remember Soca With A Mix drop 22.
Yeah, so
you'd
Soca With A
have
Twist
been
dropped Soca With A Twist, the album dropped 2022.
Right.
Yeah.
So would you have been working on the album with that concept in mind? I want this to play because when I listen to the album, I do hear just a soca relevant for just Carnival time.
Right.
You could play it any little segment that has something for daggerish, that have a slow wine, something that has something my mom could listen to. You know what I mean? So was that was that always your plan with it?
It's when I first coined the phrase SWAT, Soca With A Twist, that was always my my initial vision, to fuse soca with elements of other genres so that it can move to a place that's recognized outside of the carnival season. Yeah, the world has, a lot of carnivals, and the songs definitely go through a cycle of the other carnivals once they leave Trinidad, and then they eventually come back here. But we got to be able to get to a point where we don't rely on carnival for soca to play. And it's getting there. It's a very slow process. And artists talk about it all the time, but very few of them actually do things that really, let's say,
Back up what they say.
I can definitely count on my hand of the few artists that actually still do drop music consistently year round once Trinidad Carnival is done. Earth and Owls just dropped a tune yesterday. I took it in today. It's called Bad Girl. Bad Girl. Yeah, it was a bad tune, and it just reached #1 somewhere in Norway, I think it was. Yeah, on one of their charts over there. Nyla drops music year round.
Darling.
Yeah, you understand? I'm a friend that, love you, Nyla.
Bad.
Hey. But she drops music year round, always sounding good, always on point. Kes will do it from time to time because, Kes live in a whole different realm of soca of his own.
True.
So he can do whatever the hell he wants. Destra does it, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, definite. Destra explores. Destra is so much bigger.
I just see Destra touring right through, boy.
Right through. That is my biggest female, my favorite female artist.
Really?
From jump. When Mums brought home that first album, Red, White, and Black, that album is well, first of all, that's what cemented her as, the queen, but it's so ranged, because the beginning, it shows off her vocals, particularly in the gospel segment, because she grew up singing in church. And then one by one, it's just a set of bangers from what you want with me. What else was on that album? We jumping, we raving, we jamming. I'm your queen, you're my king. All of that was there, and then of course right down to the end. Carnival in TNT. So yeah, a lot of her most iconic.
Carnival with, you see them first three crackers that's called a soca legendary tracks.
Exactly, timeless.
Watch now,
timeless.
Would stand the test of time throughout. As soon as they
20 years later, we still singing
facts.
them. And the fact that music traveled a lot slower back then. So the fact that I had it first, but then about 6 months later, the rest of my classmates were starting to sing, everybody take a jump. I'm like, oh, you just heard the song. I felt so much better. They were like, hey, you know who Destra? Do I know who Destra is? Come on.
Girl, I ain't Trinidad right through.
Right through. And now Destra don't know me on a first name basis, so it's just like,
Destra,
Listen, Destra.
Love Destra bad.
Love her too bad.
I ain't gonna lie.
Love her too bad. Yeah, hey, real tangent. You ever heard of a whining bucket list?
A whining bucket list?
You never had a you know how fellas have see girls and it's like, God, I want jam. She's so bad, dog. But come on, we gonna be. Let me be real. Let me be real. You have a couple of girls out there, and you'll be like, dog, if I ever get to jam she, right? I have a whining bucket list, dog. I have a whining bucket list, like girls that I just want to whine on.
A respectful
whine.
Yeah.
Something that a little whine that you might actually take about. Oh boy, he gave me a good whine that one time, and dies. And dies it. Nothing else. Yeah, you just remember it.
The waistline just.
Yeah. And every now and again, I get to cross a bumper off of my whining bucket list, and I just feel good. I just feel good when that happens, boy.
I ain't going to lie, boy.
Yeah.
Destra could make that list.
And at the top of my whining bucket list,
Destra.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Number 2, Alison Hines. Why?
Watch now. Hey.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I failed to add. I have a top 5, and
think
I
if
ain't
you
crossed
make-
them off
if
just
you
yet.
make them two,
Yeah.
at some
I could
year-
die happy. I could
Yeah,
die
you
happy
should
after
get
that.
a trophy. You should get a trophy.
I could kind of cross off Allison, because you see, again, because of the business I in, I've had so much amazing opportunities. When was this? 2022. I was in St. Kitts for their music festival. I just went as a patron, as a fan, but I was in VIP. And I just happened to look across and I saw my DJ friend Maisel. I'm like, Maisel, what are you doing there? He ain't seen me since the pandemic. So he's like, "Why? How you going, dog?" And as I see him, I know he DJ for Allison. It's like, you hear what? That was the first question on my mouth. You hear what, Allison? He'd look behind. Allison Hines right there. Next thing you know, I looking around. Wait a minute, a couple good celebrities inside of here. I wasn't really looking like that, but of course, Allison at that point at least knew my face and stuff, and we were just, and we just stood up there and we were talking and we were vibes. And then Beres Hammond came on stage, dog. Yes, if you ever get a chance, right? St. Kitts Music Festival is probably the top in the Caribbean, dog. Some serious artists just go there. Like last year, they had Burna Boy. It was. Yeah, but
I could imagine I take a picture with Barry Summer and send my father. He would flip. He
God,
would go through the roof. My Rasta man father, no, what?
If you get a picture with
he
Barry
would
Salmon,
frame it and put that in his house.
hey, you know my son.
That's my son.
My son meet Barry Salmon, you know. Yeah, my son bring Barry Salmon on his show. You can't talk to me again. Yeah, dog. So that was the craziest thing. I was surrounded by. I'll never forget it. Allison Hines, Beanie Man, Baby Sham, Chris Martin. We're all in that.
Beanie Man?
Yeah, the Beanie Man. And Chris Martin had just come on stage. He was in the VIP chilling. And when Beres Hammond came on stage, all 4 of them turned into fucking nerds, dog. They was geeking like any other fan, just jamming and vibes. And Allison was doing the most. Next thing you know, I slow dancing with Allison Hines, dog, just like,
what?
Oh God, what was the song playing? Hope you never get tired. Hey, hope you never had to go to work. Listen, and she just
hang above the waist.
Yes, and hang above the waist. I'm being respectful. We take, but dog, how often you get to say dance with Allison Hines, dog? Come on.
I'll be like, Lord, I just fell into my bed, please.
If you take me tomorrow, I'm good. I had looking for the Barry Salmon pictures to show you because that was a really 2022 was a really good year.
I ain't gonna lie.
And all that happened a couple weeks out of dropping that first album. So that
really?
was yeah. So it was some serious. 2022 was a good year, man. Definitely a good year.
I had one moment like that, with a soca artist before I even started the podcast or anything. Random time, I just in Claxon Mitchell. My godfather calls me like, "Run, I go to the beach here." It's like, yeah, cool. Like, move, because you just get on phone calls where immediately everything stop. If you're seeing this, love you, big up. Call me immediately. I pack up a bag, go jump in the Mazda. We going up north and up in the mountains. In tutus, we just park up waiting. I'm like, yo, this is not the beach. This don't look like the beach. This is a suburban area.
Right.
Out walking out the front gate, Nyla Blackman.
Papa.
I like backseat of the Mazda, Nyla, right? I like, I am sitting next to Nyla Blackman. In my head, I am going off. I find. Well, I didn't know you can't. You
had to play cool. You had to play cool.
In my head, I like. Nobody can tell me nothing.
Yeah. You have a fan, Nyla. You have a fan.
What if again?
Yeah.
When I was in Easton and Nyla was performing and take off that little skate thing and watch now, I feel the turn into Spider-Man so bad in my life. What?
Hey, I have mixed feelings when I watch Nyla because I know Nyla before she blew up. So I got introduced to her through mutual friends, and we've gone on River Limes. One time there was a big sleepover with a bunch of friends. So I know Nyla, and then she went to UTT with me briefly before she blew up with Kes. So Nyla knows me on a personal level. So You know, I love everything that she does.
Yeah,
you know?
boy, I ain't gonna lie,
You know?
home, you getting on real bad.
And she finally learned how to whine, so I'm very proud of you for that, Nyla.
Nyla, you on my bucket list for wine? I just like,
That's your whining bucket
That's
list.
my wine and bucket list.
All right.
Nyla, somewhere there, she up there with. She
Uh,
up there. She up there.
She up there?
Yeah.
All right, we go see if we can make it happen. Now. Look at there. Me embarrassed.
Do me,
Yeah,
man.
Bro.
This is frame worthy pictures. You see?
oh yeah, for sure.
Ooh.
Yeah, sure.
My G, I listen to that era. Tell me.
Dog, and I have a clip. I sing one of his tunes where he had a bunch of backup singers there, and we sing one of his chorus, and in the back he's like, "Yeah, man." He was like,
You get to sing a Bear Salmon in front
of Barris Hammond. Yeah.
Yo.
Dog, listen. That's why I say I've been really blessed and privileged in this music business. I have a lot of really good memories that I can always carry with me, even if I don't get as big as Marshall or them. I could say that I've been here, that I was here, I stood my ground, and I was fighting all the time. But more importantly, those memories are going to stay with me for a long, long time. You know, it's crazy. I wouldn't trade this life that I'm living right now for anything. You know,
That's really like you. I bet you'd be dreaming this as like a little boy, and to see it now unfold in front of your eyes and to be living it.
yeah.
You ever, if it could have go back as you now and talk to that little boy, you think he'd even believe some of the things that you would have told him that you do?
I think so, because I've always been a very imaginative person of what I wanted to be. I never had any conventional job occupations. I've always had some very weird ones. I remember at first, my very first one, I was born and raised Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Mommy, I want to be a priest when I grow up. Yeah, I want to be a priest. I don't have to get married. Girls are gross. Yeah, let me be a priest. You know.
And look at you now, singing Gallus tune, singing anthem for all the Gallus them. I
You
tell
know?
you, I add a few of your tracks to my playlist today.
Lord.
9
yeah.
a.m., 9 p.m.
Listen, yeah, that album is so, mixed of, it's
You know what I do for
incorporated
you?
a lot of things, you know.
For you, one of your songs
Mm.
on the bucket list.
Oh God, and that's the next thing. Now that the music is starting to get a lot more popular, especially with one of the last singles that I dropped, Tekka. Yeah, that one's still buzzing around a lot. And I had a girl come up to me and say, "Hey, I have a bone to pick with you." I was like, "What? Why do?"
Inspire all the guys.
No. She said, "I have a bone to pick with you." I said, "What I do?" She said, "My man to your song." I was like, what?
Win.
I was like,
Win.
she said, "If I breed, it's your fault."
fault.
I was like, yo.
And I say, if he's a boy, middle name.
Yeah, middle name. Yeah, that what tell she. My name had to be somewhere in the government title. That's all.
Facts.
That's all.
Facts.
That's it, and that's all. I ain't paying no child support though.
No, I mean, ain't going to that. I build mighty hefty.
ain't going to that.
I build
Yeah.
mighty hefty, man.
Yeah, you understand. So yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, Ticker.
Hmm.
Gallus anthem.
Listen, I don't do those kind of tunes very often. I only have 2 songs like that. The other one being Slow Wine, which was on the album. That was like my first attempt at dancehall. And I always have a very great connection to dancehall. But given where I come from and my background, me personally, I raised prep school. I light skin. I can't sing about gun tunes and and all them kind of things. So, but I can sing about girl, So I just had rum one night and I just started to compose.
Really?
Yes, basically that first song, Slow Wine, was just based on experiences that I have had in Yeah.
Big up the Red Association one time.
Yeah.
You know,
Red Man Association, we on the outside,
Big
always,
up Kumi,
all day, every
ex
day.
the leader of one of the ambassadors of the Red Man Association.
Yeah. Shout out the BVI, leader of the BVI sector, Adamo, big up yourself, my brother. All day, every day. And of course, Kes, our international president. We had to.
I like Kes too, but
Always,
watch
always
me.
flying the flag.
Kes is the international symbol for Redman.
Yeah, of course.
Next
Of course.
to Redman, it should have Kess,
Kess.
right there.
Yeah. President Kess.
Exactly. This
Yeah.
thing. How Kess cut your ass and go back your ass in less time than it take me to grab full ass in my hair. Kess going here and my hair going at the same
And it like the man start going back. He was short for a good while.
a
You know?
good while.
Yeah.
The whole fade.
I blinked twice. He come
back with a whole rap.
He come up for Tonight last year to perform. And I was like, where did Ras come back from?
That's what I said.
I was like, and he was like, but you fly yours, boy. What do you I was like, yeah, it was my turn. It was my turn.
We some room now, dog.
You understand?
You
You understand? And listen, right? They will say Redman is shit, you know, right? And I remember I do this one time. I said Redman is shit, right? So Kess is shit, and she was like,
Kess
how
is
dare you? She was like, how dare you? You understand? You understand? Right now, Adamo enjoying the same level of luxury. I'm trying to reach there.
Do you know how many girls have contacted me to say when you are bringing Kess on the show, if you do not contact me, I'll lock in you off. I have people coming back from Japan to see Kess when he come on the show. And if I invite, I get lock off in the magic.
Boy, so you got our audience for that show?
I have to. No,
No, mine, they go forget you once you show done, you know. They just want to see They just want to see Kev.
I ain't even coming with my intro. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. No. I just working on. And Kess. I just say that. I just working on. All you know who I is?
Yeah.
Kess. And that's a good thing going. It's like Michael Jackson when he come up and say, that's Kess with Soca.
You ever watch Michael Jackson walk on a stage before?
I see him jump on the stage, stand still, and the crowd lose their mind.
Listen, that Super Bowl performance he do, it's still the best one of all time, you know.
Really?
You ever see a man stand still for 2 minutes and a crowd just screaming?
People faint.
The man ain't move. And as soon as the man... Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Right. The man was just there. A minute and a half.
My God.
Yeah. And all he did was this. I'm a dog!
God gone mad.
Oh, man, it was Teddy
I
head!
am telling you.
And then he comes so.
The slow motion. Yeah, and the crowd.
Listen.
What's the superstar?
You ever see a grown white man faint for an next man though?
Watch now, the ambulance. You could imagine the hospitals during that time.
They had to have medical people on standby for a man like that, dog.
My brother, I'm gonna tell you a story. Listen. This year, make destiny come up to me and tell me she don't like this song. Her book only like that who in every day and give me the info. So I had to do whatever it is. So I got them to step up. So if you never end it with an A, low. Cause Stephanie, Stephanie come. Step right over. Don't get me, I tell you, take that right. Now forget, Serena, Talisa, tell them, get it going with an A.
I had to ask, and when you talk about stage performance and all to this, when it come to you,
Yeah.
like I've seen you hit that freestyle in a crowd, gone from sitting down with gal in front of your lineup, 3-4 gal, sweet gal.
Oh, you talk about the fete. You
In
talk about
the
the,
fete
oh, you talk
self.
about the video.
The video self, I put in the back up here, I put in the
Lord.
back up, jump off the stage, and then, to me, define all rules of physics, all rules of gravity, because the waistline you throw to the audience, and nongs to listen. I see gal want to throw wine all over belly,
Listen.
on upwards belly, longward belly.
Listen, the comments I be getting on that video, right? She's like, yes, I love fluffy man with waist. You know, I was like, God, dog, I don't know what I could even attribute that waistline to, dog. Alright, I know I could do. Yeah, I know where it's at. You remember when Kanye came to Trinidad?
West?
Yeah.
You don't have the answer, Sway?
Huh? Yeah, Houseway. Houseway, yeah. When Kanye first blew up, like with Gold Digger, this was like 05 or something like that. And he was here. Yeah, where were you, dog?
I 05, I'd be 10.
Yeah. See,
I didn't even know hip hop existed.
Right. That's why. I barely knew about Kanye at the time, but I knew that song. I knew that song for sure. And I knew Jesus Walks.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah,
hold
yeah.
on. Jesus Walks, that's a good one. No. I can't forget
Through
it.
the Wire.
Through the Wire,
yeah.
amazing tune.
Yeah.
Why I forget to know Homecoming?
But
That's
yeah,
a big
that
tune.
year-
But his song with Lupe, what is the name
Lupe
of it?
Fiasco. Oh God. Gosh, I can't remember that one.
Touch
Oh,
the Sky.
Touch the Sky. That's
One
right.
of my
Yeah,
favorite
yeah.
songs. And as I hear, I can't big up Lupe Fiasco, one of my favorite rappers of all time. But back to Kanye.
I'll be remiss real quick. Shout out my girl Janelle. Well, yeah, if I didn't call her name, she sure would have eat me up. Especially if I'm talking about Kanye, she loves Kanye. So big up my girl Janelle. Love you. Too bad. Yeah. So Kanye was in Trinidad. It was I don't know what the fete was for, but I think apparently B Mobile had just launched or something like that. I was like, I could have been maybe 13 at the time. And I happened to get my aunt got VIP tickets and decided to take me and my mother and my cousins were there too. And all my cousins like a lot older than me, like at least 10 years older than me. So they all in their 20s at the time. And so we went down. It was Sherwin, Bungie, and Marshall who performed before Kanye. And so I really got introduced to those three in particular that night. I was like, yeah, you know. And this is long before I even wanted to be an artist. But in that crowd, I was very sheltered, so I never really went to something like this before. But in that crowd, girls was whining, rolling their waist and thing, you know. I had probably just got my first wine at a school party about a month or so ago. So I really know how to wine.
That's a big step in your man's life.
Your first wine, right?
At
yeah.
a school dance?
Yeah. Your first wine, yeah, that's different, you know. So I really didn't know what I doing, you know. And my cousins watched me take a one wine, and I was just, you know, kind of stiff. So and they watched me like, dog, you know how to wine? I was like, nope. I'm 13. You know, I had the privilege of looking older than what I actually look like.
Right.
You know, so it was, you know, all right. So they just started introducing girl to me whole night. So in that, I literally went through whining boot camp, dog.
In one
fete, dog. My cousins put me through a whining boot camp, dog.
You get christened in a fete,
in
dog?
a fete, dog. In a fete. At 13, them masking me as 20. I 20. I was
You
like,
know how much a Juve man has had to go through to live that experience?
Yeah. And this long before I even get a taste of what Trinidad Carnival was like, you know? But I think that was my first ever Trini fete. And that's where I first learned how to wine.
In that moment.
Yeah. So I think that's where. So I've always had a waist, whether I was big or small. So and that just kind of came natural. That just comes naturally when I perform as well.
Now, as we're on the topic of the video, where did the freestyle come about?
You've been saying freestyle. I've been long to say freestyle. It was just a verse I had in my head. You know. When the song first came out, because I know Pumpa from back in the Virgin Islands, because that's where he's from, you know, and he's been a big name up there for well over nearly 20 years, you know. So, but this was his first real breakthrough in Trinidad, and he's been here before, even when I used to live here. So I've seen him come and I've seen him go, and he knows me personally, you know. So when he saw me in the crowd that morning, I actually had done that verse at another fete he was at before, over in Blue Range, maybe a few nights before. And so when he saw me in the crowd again, he was like, yeah, we gonna do this shit again. So yeah, so he called me up on the stage. I there sitting on the speaker box, and I just let it roll, dog. And looking back at it all around, I remember seeing, the girls, they were all right in front. The girls were pushing back on me in the speaker box. I was sitting down right there, But I was like, nah, I really got to sell this. So as the chorus, yeah. I said, I really got to sell this at the end. So I was like, no, I got to get up on this. So I can't forget Sharice and Shireen and Celine Kamola. Tell them, if your name don't end with an A. And I just let it go. And it's still getting I think my followers have gone up about 400 on IG and a couple hundred on TikTok. And they just keep following. People keep asking when the remix.
I want to hear the remix, bad boy.
So it's like I say, every moment is a blessing, dog. I remember. And particularly during this particular time, where it really wasn't, it was not something that I intended to do. It's just one of those things where I was just like, I have to do it because I just can't I'm not one to just sit on the sidelines and watch.
It's like a moment in your head that you just see and just be like, I could either not do this, I could do this and it could be absolutely amazing.
More
and
or
your
less.
brain just be like,
have to, yeah.
I feel the same thing too.
More or less. And so, yeah, life, you have to seize those opportunities any chance that you get, You never know what can arise from it. And since doing that, people have, been seeing me, recognizing me. Like this happened weeks ago. People still recognize my face. They watched the video. You the guy from the video? Up till last night, I was at a function and somebody recognized me from that, And people in the business, more importantly, saw that. And, they want to talk to you. They want to say, hey, you do this like on a professional thing, and they go through your Instagram. They see what you can do. They see your talent. It's like, yeah, dog, you have a unique talent. We need to bring you out here. So that opens the door and opens up room for conversation to expand yourself and take you to places you never thought you would go. So I can't say anything for certain is going to come out of this, but it certainly has opened a lot of doors and turned a lot of people's eyes and ears towards me to see what's gonna come next. So, I'm gonna hit him with something.
Was one of those opportunities breaking into radio?
Breaking radio has always been like another second passion of mine. I've always had a thing for radio announcing. It was one of my first jobs when I first got out of high school. I worked for a radio station back home called Z-Rod. I worked there as a part-time. And I did a countdown show once a week. So that's really how I started to hone my radio voice. And while I lived in Trinidad, I also did some radio work for an online radio station called We Room. So I always kept that part of my my talents, close to me, because that's definitely another window of opportunity to work, and particularly work in a field that I really love. So when I first moved back to the Virgin Islands, it was 2019, just before the pandemic. And I just got involved with, I had gone back to teach. I was teaching music. And of course, when the pandemic hit, I got onto TikTok and I started, making some content, making a couple of funnies, just something to kill my brain and, but eventually it started to become, people were watching the content like, yo, you're really funny. Yo, this is really cool. This is really relatable, and a couple of DJs who, I had grown up and worked with in the past, saw that, and they had started up a station called Fuze 106.9, which was a revamp of a station that was once owned by a man named Neil Blyden, may he rest in peace. But they had taken over the station and the frequency, and they said, "Yo, you should come and be an announcer. We need announcers. We have DJs, but we really need voices." So that was October 2020, and I've been with them ever since. So it's definitely a passion of mine, and if at any point where I decide to eventually step away from performing full time, I would definitely just, do radio for sure.
Okay, and how has working with Digicel been thus far? Because I do see a lot of Digicel content out there.
Yeah. Again, all that came from the TikTok stuff and the following.
Really?
Yeah. Just the content that I was doing, and of course, being a host and an event host, they saw that, and they approached me in 2022. I was currently in a interchanging or transition from another company that had signed me, but my contract had expired and they hadn't really come back to renew. So they just all decided to swoop in, and I told them what I wanted to do, and they decided to cater for it. They signed. I started making videos for them, and they gave me a couple opportunities. They sent me to Music Fest last year, where I got to film content and promote their, roaming plans, and I gave highlights of the music festival and everything. And so it's been a very eye-opening and great learning experience. I'm definitely grateful to have them working. I should have worn red for the show, but
I hoping somebody from Digicel see this. Somebody from Digicel.
Did you? You came prepared. You came prepared. Like you over there with the bloods. I looking like a crip over here. We look like one big police siren on this stage. I don't. Yeah, I didn't have anything else with my big logo on it though. So that's why. Yeah.
No, that's an excellent branding. First of all, I really like it. I spent DJs look real hot.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I would admit that I really do like what I see Digicel doing, especially with the content creators and how they're bringing forward people. Yeah. I really, really, and I have heard nothing but good reviews from content creators working with them thus far.
That's good. Well, hopefully if I decide to move back, I'll be able to transfer some credits like it's a college degree. Digicel Trinidad and Tobago, if you're listening, I'll let you boy.
Make up Digicel one time. We's not getting data right now.
Hello.
Watch there. The bill always on time.
It don't miss you. It don't miss you.
I like Digicel too bad. It almost do, eh?
Yeah.
Hey, it do.
Yeah. Hey, we take the money, eh? At least they just tell you. Some of them just be like if you're missing like your money come late, then as soon as they hey, where the money dog? Yeah.
No, it's this very slight one. You have 48 hours left.
Yeah. It's like, I just want a message back. Or what?
Did you say so gangster? You see?
Yeah.
Did you say that gangster? They'll be like, you see, don't worry. You got it 10 minutes or what via MSM? You got to send it via text MS. Lord,
yeah. SMS,
you see?
Yeah, you damn near say MSN though. Yeah, bro. Oh, yeah.
Okay, but I really am glad to see what they're doing with the content creators, because you see a lot of them. You see Junior Lee on the billboard. You see those arts that they be doing.
That is crazy.
Man, I bring up my brother Junior Lee one time.
Hey, you were on the show with him in Queens Hall?
In Queens Hall, yes, I did up, man.
Okay, what was that like?
It was really, really good, man. I dedicated. Queens Hall was the first place that my dad ever took me to see Paul King Douglas perform.
That's a legend.
Man.
That is a legend.
Man, I used to listen to his CDs when
Same.
Really?
Yeah.
Immaculate storytelling.
That man used to make me laugh.
Watching and tell their stories.
You understand?
Into that, watching that was like before.
Who was your favorite character?
It's between Tanti
Tanti
I'm telling you.
Tanti Merle.
And it's Slim. Slim real bad.
Who always stoops in.
What's up, fucking
I tell you, I'm very diverse in my backgrounds, dog. I grew up learning a lot of things.
Man.
A lot of things.
Going to see like Talk Tent and seeing Paul King, because that's where he came in. Paul Talk Tent in Queenswald to see him perform. So going back there to perform now on the stage where them was like a real full circle kind of moment for me. And I bet.
Yeah, I remember my first time performing in Queens Hall too. It was, again, when I first moved and I did my first music video, and I ended up going to the Black Box and performing in one of Tree Canal's sets. And they liked me so much that they invited me back, and then they eventually told me they wanted me to come on to the concert series that they usually do for Carnival.
Tricanal?
Yeah,
Ooh,
Tricanal. Yeah,
That's a big for my uncle.
Yeah.
Love Tricanal too bad.
So they had I don't know I can't remember I think it was called Plan Ass that year, but that was their concert series, and they had it in Queens also. Performing in Queens Hall was a big deal at the time. I must have been, I think I was 20 at the time. So again, getting my feet wet and interacting with a bunch of people. Again, Tricanal was another one that
Was your
particularly
mom
my
able
aunts-
to see you? Was your mom able to see you perform?
Yeah. My mom is my biggest supporter.
Really?
Yeah. My biggest fan, my biggest supporter, my biggest motivator, confidant, everything. A lot of what I am today is because of her. I got my talent from my dad. My dad is a singer, but my articulation, the way I carry myself, the way I treat people and interact people, that's all my mom's spirit, I love her too bad, and she has been with me through every step, every phase of this journey. Any chance that she gets to come and watch me perform, she is there. As well as my grandmother, who God rest her soul, she passed away a few weeks ago. But she is who I lived with when I first moved here. Both my grandparents, and my grandmother. Well, both my grandparents are very influential in Trinidad back in the day. My grandfather, fun fact, was actually the first secretary of the PNM. And my grandmother was just a very iconic entrepreneur. She very much promoted Africanism, and promoting black people and emancipation. You wouldn't catch her wearing anything else but African clothing, and she sold them. She made it her identity. She had an
Did she
African
make
name.
you your first Goku outfit?
Yes, you did some research here, dog. What did Jill? Yeah. She didn't understand the show, but she knew that was my favorite character. That I would talk about it all the time. And one year I came down here. I was 9 years old, and she had this big present for me. When I opened it up, I seen an orange and blue outfit. You couldn't get me out of it for that whole. I wore that outfit everywhere. There's a Chinese restaurant off the Savannah. Before the zoo, before you enter Maraval, on the very top floor, some very fancy. I wore that Goku outfit right in there. You couldn't tell me nothing. You mean? And my grandmother watching me proud. I getting up and going. People watching me like, "Hey, you wearing a Goku?" I was like, "Yep,
Yes.
My granny make this." Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
something about that grandmother's love, boy.
Yeah. And so she was. Whenever I had a big show in particular, she was there with bells on, all the time. She loved me too bad. I was her youngest grandson, so yeah. I miss your granny.
Yeah, I miss mine too, man. G. I ain't got nothing to tell you.
Boy. Yeah. So I owe a lot of who I am to a lot of influences around both on the musical side, but also from the personal side. My story is my story because of who knows me and who I was influenced by. I can't see myself living any other life but the one I've lived right now up to this point. And I don't know what comes next, but I'm ready to meet it. I'm excited for it. Whatever that might be. I have to turn the pages and find out. That was a part of why I finally ended up doing Soca With A Twist as the album, and why I did it at that particular point in my life, because that was the year I turned 30, and it was always my dream to have an album. And so it took a few years to make the music and decide what songs I wanted to be on it. It could have been longer, it could have been shorter, but I chose 9 for a specific reason, because it literally represents completion. It's the biggest cardinal number. And so it means moving on and growing and expanding. So that's what SWAT was, wrapping up my 20s and showing different aspects of it: relationships, celebration, sex, my love of soca. You know, it was all. That's all. That's all it was. It was a love letter to my young life. So whenever the next project comes along, I don't know what it will tell just yet, but I'm hoping that it also tells a similar story.
That's a beautiful concept for an album, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Like when you look at even, and I was thinking about as you're saying it, even when you look at the track structure from 1 to 9, you could see
Yeah.
that whole, like different aspects. It doesn't just sound like the same
Yeah.
soca song right through. It does really take
Exactly.
you through different aspects of the entire. Ooh, that's dope, man.
Yeah.
G. That's dope.
For sure. You know? I appreciate everybody that was involved in that project. Big up to Andrea Wickham. She helped write a majority of the album. Big up the producers who helped System 32. Lincoln Ward, who was my engineer through most of it. Big up Celeb, Press the Button. That's the song he produced. Can you say the same? That was a big tune when in BVI particular when it first dropped. Shout out to James EP, one of the writers on the songs. Too much people to thank for that in particular. For SWAT in particular, anyone that has come into contact with me, all down to the man in the back who just there on the phone, you know. Anyone who has interacted with me on this journey is a part of the whole Soca With A Twist process, you know, from the cameramen to the producers to people who have worked with me as backup dancers, to writers.
Big up all
You
the
know?
dancers out there. I know their life's not easy.
Of course, you know. Oh, happy birthday going out to my boy Maz, Mr. Zero Gravity, you know, one of the biggest dancers in the game right now. Yeah, I respect all aspects of the creative arts, and it all plays a part. We all work together, and we all have to work together in order to make this whole thing, you know, work. And more importantly, to show that it is worth something. Because a lot of people tend to take it for granted. You know, they think it's just as easy as going la 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 la, or just pressing a button. You know, a lot of people on the outside, I think it's easier to understand now because of where we are at in the world with technology. But we still got a long way to go to show that this is not just something you treat as a hobby, or you treat as this only happens for 1 in a million people. Do you think anybody can become a doctor? Not anyone can rush into a fire to save someone's life. Not everybody can strap up with 10 pounds of gear, hold a AK-47 with a title saying police on the front, and put their life on the line to protect and serve. Sometimes people who they don't even know, and, you know, sometimes don't even appreciate that. Because one thing I don't ever the police, because if somebody come into my house to rob me, is you all I call, and I call in the police, and I call in the right station. Okay, I call in the right station.
I call in multiple stations.
Yeah. I got at least 3 stations in Dago Martin where I stay right now. I call in all of you. Okay, so yeah. So we need to treat the arts in the exact same way, you know. But it starts with us, you know, making sure that whatever we do with pride, and we do it to the best of our ability, so that they can't look at us and say, yeah, you should probably switch a career path. No, this is the career path. This is the bread and butter, right? And it's going to work. It has to work
By any means necessary.
Yep.
Now anybody could put the whole 20s into an album.
It's yeah. When I listened back to it the other day, and I was like, it really was a time. Really, you know, real experiences that I had that I will always keep with me. You know, God spare life.
Facts. Now, but I appreciate that, especially for the construction, especially now with people when they making an album. Sometimes it's an album and it's just a collection of songs. But I like when it's like I'm not sure if it's something like we take from rap, but you know, like with albums like Tetsuo and Youth, Why We Be Fiasco, like Pimba Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar, where it's telling a complete story from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Seeing you do that and apply that to a soca or apply that to our genre and
Yeah.
still achieve the same thing. That is an accomplishment in of itself, my G.
And again, they think, and again, we don't have to be a Marshall or a Destra to do that. You know, I mean, I structure that and I form my album off of, you know, that inspiration of seeing how it's particularly in their earlier years of how they structured and formulated their albums. You know, you listen to Marshall's Book of Angels, that had some big tunes on it, Higher Than High, Jumbi, One More Time. But again, also told a story. It was structured in a certain way and made you want it to feel a certain way. Higher Than High is still one of my favorite songs from him. You know, you ever do you not feel like you have wings when you hear that song? When that come in, when those African drums come in, and he comes, ay, 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 oi, 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 yeah, and it's just building. It's just building. And then he takes you to a completely different place in the album where he literally just removes all these soca elements and it's literally just unplugged of, you know, the xylophones and guitars. No, it's just smooth. Rise up, everybody hands up higher than I. And, you know, there's chanters in the background. It goes, rise, thanks. Higher than I. And it's completely something else, ethereal. And again, you still feel like you're in the sky. You know, you can do that. Soca is so much more than just the wine and the jam and the carnival on the road. Yeah, that's part of it. But soca is so much more. Soca is an expression of freedom, coming together of people from different backgrounds. You could be a little boy from the ghetto, or you could have gone to private school your whole life. Both of you are in a public space and you hear the same song and you feel the same things. Soca brings people together, and not just for the carnival. It's a symbol of unity for life. You can't hear soca music and feel sad or feel angry or want to go out and fight somebody.
Okay, you feel love.
You feel love. And that's a lot of what we need right now. And that's no disrespect to any of the other genres that come out of this great place. Trinidad started in a great place and they told real stories, but it became too personal and we lost a lot of good people because of it.
And
I really want to see that change because it's still a great genre. It still tells great stories, but we need to leave that animosity out of it. Things can't be taken that personally.
Right. Just like hip hop, we hoping that, you know, Trinidad take the same kind of evolution and come out of the violence that it
I
was.
would love to see that.
I'd love to see that too.
see it take a better place, because I remember, you know, and I had my own personal, you know, biases against that, but I remember 2020, they let some Trinidad artists come to Soca Monarch in an intermission. It was a couple of them, and I'll never forget it. I don't know who posted it. I think it might have been Sonny. Shout out to Sonny. But he showed a clip of those artists. They literally got together backstage, arms around each other, and they prayed and thanking God for just the chance to be there and the chance to perform in this space with each other. And I thought that was so powerful. I might have felt that might not have been the place for it, but I couldn't deny that it was a very powerful moment. And it needs more moments like that. More brotherhood, more of a fraternity. It needs to go back to being a fraternity and not about who's better than who or who slept with whose bitch. It doesn't need to be that. We have too much of that already. You know? I don't know who that's going to reach, but I hope it reaches you.
I hope so too. Now, with that being said, Hashim, I just want to say thank you very, very much for coming on the show and supporting my brother.
Absolutely.
Really, really appreciate it. Just want to
Yeah,
take
man.
the final moments as we here. You want to plug anything that you have coming up, any events, any appearances? Feel free.
Yeah, of course, guys, it's your boy Hashim ThaDream, Mr. Soca With A Twist. Follow me on all social platforms. I'm sure they're going to be down here somewhere at Hashim ThaDream. I'll make sure that they spell it right so that you can get it right. And join the movement. You know, I have go and stream my album, Soca With A Twist. I just dropped a single on a rhythm for St. Thomas Carnival back in the Virgin Islands. It's called on the Sierra rhythm. It's called Bumper Is Mine. So go check that out. And yeah, just be on the lookout because I definitely have a lot more things coming. I have a couple of challenges I have to face later on this year that I'm not going to get into right now. Maybe we'll come back later and talk more about it once that passes. But come and get familiar. Get to know me. It's going to be a fun journey. Trust me. And thank you for having me, Ron. It's been definitely a pleasure. South Central Podcast. Y'all stream it. Make sure you get the familiar.
You're welcome, Mike. It was a pleasure having you.
Done know.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all, thank you very much for tuning into this episode of the South Central Podcast. I am your host, Ron Austin. We also thank you and big shout out to Full Time Impact and everybody here at the studio. Big up to Laugh on the Ave for all the shows y'all take in the new season of Laugh on the Ave. Make sure when we coming in June, I believe is the new season. So if you're done with it, take it in.
Nice.
Again, subscribe to all the platforms, the South Central Podcast on all the platforms. Y'all, thank you very much for tuning in and good night.
Write a wine in bucket.